So we are talking all things Google Drive today, and we're going to share the difference between what is my drive, or in your case, your drive, but it's still called my drive, and what is a shared drive, and the benefits to both, and the importance of really using shared drive in certain situations. So let me go ahead and just switch over here. So this is Drive, drive.google.com. You can get to it from the waffle in the upper right of your screen by going to Drive. You can get there by going drive.google.com. If you've downloaded FileStream so that it actually shows up in your Finder window or in your Windows Explorer window, you'll be able to see the same setup there. It'll say both things. It'll say My Drive, just like right here, and Shared Drive. So it doesn't mean you can't share documents from My Drive. That is an opportunity, but they're done in a little bit of a different way. So let's go ahead and jump in. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute or type them in the chat box, and I'll take a look at those throughout the session. So My Drive is your personal storage space on Google Drive. It's accessible only to you unless you've shared documents to others. It's really ideal for sharing personal files, drafts, or documents that don't require collaboration. That word might sound familiar to you as it is one of our core values here at the Schmidt family of companies, and that's what shared drives will give you is collaboration. So on the other hand, shared drives allows multiple users to store, access, and collaborate on files and folders in real time. It's perfect for team projects and shared documents and collaborative efforts. So think in your office if you have shared floor schedules, if you have shared policies, if you have shared marketing information, shared drives is the perfect place to put that information because no one person is the owner. So if one person left, that in a shared drive is still going to be accessible to all others that are part of that shared drive. So that is really the first benefit of Google Shared Drives is collaboration. Multiple team members can work in the same document simultaneously, eliminating the need for back and forth emails and version control issues. Isn't that great? Who's been the victim of that? I have an Excel spreadsheet. Well, I'm seeing this. Well, I'm seeing that. Well, you had different versions because it's not a live document. It needs to be saved, sent, and then by the time it's been sent, any other changes in the original don't go with that sent document. So accessibility also. So files stored and shared Google Drive are accessible from any device with an internet connection. And this promotes flexibility and remote work when it makes sense. We know our agents are out of the office all the time, right? You sell very few houses sitting in the office. You're out doing showings, you're at closings, inspections, networking, prospecting. It really allows the agents to be mobile. I have Google Drive on my phone. I have an iPhone, but I downloaded the Google Drive app and I use it all the time. I can get to my files anywhere I want, whether I have my computer with me or not. It's fantastic. Organization. With customizable folders and sharing settings, you can organize files efficiently and control access levels to maintain confidentiality. That's important. You can put on shared drives the inability to share outside of our Schmidt family of companies Google Workspace. And that's important for our data integrity and to keep our information safe. If you're sharing files outside of the Schmidt family of companies, we no longer have control of them. They are out there in cyberspace, accessible to anybody that then wants to continue to share them. So by keeping them in a shared drive that only has permission set in our Schmidt family company's Google Workspace, it does keep them much more secure. And version history, I don't know if you know this, but in Google Drive, you can automatically save to the previous versions of the document, allowing you to track changes and revert to earlier versions if needed. This saved me one time. I had asked very nicely for a document that somebody else owned because it was fantastic. I forgot to do a copy of that document and I changed the original. Felt terrible, right? It was a huge oh no moment. However, with the version history, I was able to go back, undo all the changes I had done, put the original document back the way it should have been, and then did a copy for my own use. So version history is very important and a huge benefit of Google Drive. So in order to get started with shared drives, you do need to be in your shared drive folders right here. So when you're in here, and you can see this is just kind of a test account, so I'm not sharing too much of my information here. So there's only one shared drive in here, but you can go to shared drive. Now, files shared with you is different. If you're in My Drive, you can search for files that were shared with you. You can search by different forms. You can search by people that may have shared it with you, and you can search by when it was modified. Over to the left, shared with me, this is different than shared drives. So if I created a Google Doc in my drive and I shared it to, say, April, she'll be able to see that and shared with me, but that isn't necessarily the same thing as a shared drive. So those are two different things. So to create a new shared drive, you want to be in shared drive and then click new. You first name it, which makes sense, right? Click create. And then it's going to show up now in your shared drives. However, I just created it. It's not shared to anybody, right? So when you click on it, this is where you want to manage members. And again, this is where you can start adding people. You start typing their name. If they're in the Schmidt family of companies or your contacts, they will come up. If you want them to be view only, so this is a great option for agents, right? You have office information, maybe you and your manager are both content managers, but you don't want your agents to be able to make any changes. You can make them as a viewer. You can make them as a commentator so they can leave notes on the documents, but not change the original. You can make them as a contributor so they can add and edit files. Content manager is the ultimate. It's the super admin of the documents, and then manager as well. So you have the option to do this for different people when you're adding them. You can also choose not to notify them. So maybe you're just starting an office share drive, you want to get some content in there first. You can choose to not notify them right away if you don't want to. Now you also have the ability to add a group. So let's just say I want to add all the Michigan ASCs. Oh, I'm in the wrong account. I'm sorry, I'm in the test account. So there I have no groups in this account, but you can add a whole group. So if you have a group called, Gaylord Office Agents, you don't have to sit there and add all 21 agents. You can go ahead and put in the group that you've already created. That will share to them. It'll give them all the same access on the front level of it. And then as you add them, you can go back through from down here and change what access they have. This is also where you can remove access. So we know if an agent leaves, we make sure that they feel good about losing their email. Once they're ready to let it go, we remove their email address. You want to come back in here, even though their account's gone, you want to remove access. Or maybe they move from one office to the other, so you want to remove access to your office. This is where you can do so from here. So again, that is what a shared drive is. Now my drive, it's going to look the same. Again, this is a test account, so there's no drive or there's no folders in here. You do have the ability, like I said, to share files and folders in your My Drive as well, but then that is still owned by you. So it's your account. If you leave or if your account gets deleted, that information is gone. So that's the difference between My Drive and shared drives. I created the test drive, shared drive. I've shared it to others. There's other content managers. There's other contributors. My account gets deleted. That shared drive is still there, still available to the others that are shared with it. So that's kind of the difference there. You can upload files into here by dropping and dragging. You can click new. You can add things. If you're in, say you created a Google Sheet and you wanted to do, maybe it's your hot sheet that you downloaded from the MLS. Right here is where you can change where you add that. Now, when you add it into a shared location, and this is my account again, so you'll see all my files here. It's going to say you're changing the permissions. You're putting this in a shared drive. Anybody that's a member of that shared drive will now have access to that file. So it does give you that warning. But this is how you can easily create a new document, organize it, right? It was super important. Organize it into the drive that you want it to go in. You can also do that for files right from in here. Say you want to find something. If you click on it, right click on it, you can share it from here. You can organize it so you can move it. You can also add a shortcut. So if there's a document in a shared drive, you get to it all the time, but for yourself and your organization, you want it in your My Drive with a link, you can add a shortcut. It's not moving the document. It's just putting a shortcut in your drive so that when you click on it in your drive, it will take you to that shared document. So that can be a really good way to organize as well. You can also star documents. So if you go back to a document every single time, but you're not like me that doesn't keep 100 tabs open at any given time. So you like to close your tabs out, you can star it so that when you come into your drive, your starred documents are at top. You can easily click on them and get to them from there. Quickly, version history, if you are in any of the documents, when you go to File, Version History, obviously I just created this, there's not going to be a whole lot to look at, but you can also name your current version. So maybe you named it, Sharon Wednesday. So you know that you were working on Wednesday. When you click on See Version History, it's going to show you who did the changes and when they changed it. And then you can revert back to those changes if you want to by clicking on any of the versions that would show up here in a document that's used more frequently than this one. It'll show you when you click on it, you can view the changes without having to revert back to it. Then once you are ready to revert back to it, you can go ahead and click on it. It always asks, are you sure? Click yes, and that document will be right back to that version. Super useful setting if you're making changes and you shouldn't have made changes, or you wanted to go back because you didn't like the changes, you have that ability to do that. We are encouraging backup. So this is a cloud-based storage system, of course, right? We are going to start encouraging backup of the important information. Paul and I are working on a holistic solution for the entire Google Workspace in which we will be backing up most likely the shared drives. So this is why it's going to be super important to start utilizing shared drives for those documents that you need collaboration on. So if they are in your My Drive, you can move them over to a shared drive. Add the permissions for those that make sense. Maybe it's another ASC, maybe it's your RSC, maybe your RSC has a drive for you, and Tia has one. We have our ASC drive now. So just start getting your information organized, so then that way we can do backups, because we all love everything in the cloud. Like I mentioned earlier, it's super accessible. You can get it on mobile, you can get it on a different device, but things happen. As anybody that has AT&T this morning knows, things happen. Technology can fail. So we do the best we can to keep our data secure and safe and accessible. So again, anything of vital importance, keep in shared drives. Totally fine to use My Drive if you have working documents, if you have a timely document. Maybe you created an open house flyer quickly for an agent, you tweaked it in Word or whatever it was, so you can save it in there because by Monday, it's no longer gonna be needed because the open house is over. So totally okay to use My Drive in certain situations, but any of that information that you really need to keep secure and accessible by others really should be moved to shared drives. I'm just checking my notes here. Any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat. Let me go ahead and check. Pop that open. I don't see any yet. So just a few more highlights here in Drive. We mentioned shared with me. Recent can be nice as well. If you know you were working on a document before lunch, you shut everything down to be secure, you're coming back after lunch, you want to get back into what you were doing, you have the option to go into recent. It's going to show you all the most recent documents that you are operating in. Here's where that starred option is. If you have documents that are starred, they're going to show up there. You also have trash. So if you move something to trash and you're like, oh, I really needed that back, you can go to trash and get that back. Now, any staff, ASCs, RSCs, marketing, accounting, HR, managers, RVPs, leadership, you should all have the highest level of Google Workspace that we offer, the enterprise. So storage space should not be an issue. A lot of our agents are added as frontline, which is our lowest storage available. So if you see over here, if it's giving you a warning, like a red warning that you're getting too full on your storage, if your staff, reach out immediately, because we obviously didn't add you correctly. If it's an agent, we can bump them up as well, because we want our agents using the system because it is secure. We do have oversight on it. Paul gets reports all the time if there's anything nefarious going on with the system. So we highly encourage the agents to use this. As staff, you should be using this for storage. So if you are having storage limit issues, reach out, because we do have 3 different levels of Google Workspace accounts. And most likely if you're having a storage issue, we just need to go in, tweak your account, and then you won't have any more storage issues. Any questions for me? We'll give it just a minute here, or awkward 8-second pause. All right, wonderful. Well, if questions come up as you're either moving information into a shared drive, if you have any questions about sharing permissions or what that might be, or if you're having storage issues, don't hesitate to reach out. I thank you for your time this morning. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And for those of you I will see our amazing award events coming up, I look forward to seeing you. Bye, everyone.